Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Spacetime channel. Tonight we'll be exploring the silent echoes of a lost world. Imagine a time when the Earth was wrapped in a lush, green embrace, where ferns grew as tall as towers, and the air was thick with the scent of pine and heavy rain. We often imagine this era as loud and chaotic, but tonight we focus on the stillness. These giants were the guardians of our planet for millions of years. They lived under the same stars we see tonight, drinking from ancient rivers, existing in a slow, heavy harmony with a younger, wilder Earth. It is a reminder of the deep geological soul that connects us all across the vast oceans of time. So tonight, we will wander through 100 sleepy facts about the dinosaur. We will drift across the Mesozoic era, gathering fragments of knowledge that are as calming as they are ancient. If you enjoy these quiet journeys into the past, I invite you to like and subscribe, helping us reach one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, the time for the modern world has passed. Let your shoulders sink into the mattress. Let your breath mimic the slow tides of an ancient ocean. Let your mind soften into the dark. Let's begin. Let us begin by casting our minds back, drifting upstream against the current of history. The dinosaurs did not exist for a mere moment. They reigned for 165 million years. It is a number so large it is almost impossible to hold in the mind. To understand this vastness, imagine a standard clock hanging on a quiet wall. If the entirety of human history, every city built, every war fought, every song sung, lasted only for a single second, the time of the dinosaurs would last for an entire hour. We are entering a realm of deep time, a time when the Earth spun on its axis with a slow, deliberate certainty. It is a vast, calm ocean of years, where the waves of time rolled gently against the shores, century after century, with no one there to count them.
In the earliest days of this story, the map of the world looked nothing like it does tonight. There were no separate continents, no vast oceans dividing the lands. The Earth held its land masses in a tight embrace, fused together into one single supercontinent known as Pangaea. Imagine for a moment that you could walk. You could start your journey at the South Pole and walk all the way to the North Pole without ever dipping your toes in the sea. One continuous stretch of Earth, one giant island floating in a global ocean. It reminds us of a time of unity. Even the ground beneath our feet, which feels so solid and permanent, is actually a drifting wanderer, slowly coming together and slowly drifting apart, like clouds moving across a slow-motion sky. When the first ancestors of the dinosaurs appeared, the planet was quiet. It was recovering from a prehistoric event often called the Great Dying. But tonight, let us call it the Great Silence. The world was not crowded. It was empty. It was a time of planetary healing. The forests were just beginning to grow back, covering the scars of the Earth with soft blankets of moss and fern. There is a profound comfort in this. It is a reminder that nature is resilient. No matter how silent the world becomes, life always returns. It creeps back in the silence, filling the empty rooms of the world with new breath, new shapes, and new songs. Because the world was recovering, the first dinosaurs were not the earth-shaking giants we see in movies. They were small, humble, and quiet. Consider the Eoraptor, whose name means the dawn thief. It was no bigger than a medium-sized dog. It did not roar, it chirped. It moved lightly through the underbrush, a humble shadow darting beneath the ancient, oversized ferns. Picture it resting in the shade. It weighed so little that it barely left a footprint in the mud. It teaches us that the greatest things often start small, that majesty begins with a whisper, and that even the rulers of the earth began as small, fragile things, seeking shelter from the sun. The air of the Triassic period felt different against the skin. It was a greenhouse world. There were no ice caps at the North or South poles. There were no glaciers. The Earth was wrapped in a thick, humid blanket of warmth. Imagine a world where winter never came, just an endless, balmy summer that stretched on for millions of years. The heat baked the soil, encouraging the green to grow faster, taller, and thicker. It was a planetary incubator, a soft, warm cradle where life could rest and grow without the bite of the cold. A perpetual, golden afternoon that never turned into a freezing night. Before the grass covered the hills and plains, the world was carpeted in something much more ancient: ferns. These were not the small, potted plants we know today, but vast, waist-high seas of green fronds, uncurling in the prehistoric mist. Imagine lying down in one of these endless fields. The air smells of damp, rich earth and rain. As the wind blows, the entire landscape ripples like a green ocean. It is a world of soft textures, the feathery touch of leaves against your skin, a landscape that whispers with every breeze, inviting you to sink into its deep, verdant embrace. Even as the dinosaurs began to grow larger, they possessed a secret hidden deep inside their bodies: hollow bones. Like the birds that glide above us today, their heavy skeletons were filled with delicate air sacs. They were built for lightness, not just strength. It is a beautiful contradiction. Even these heavy creatures carried a pocket of air within them, a hidden buoyancy. It reminds us that even when we feel heavy, there is space within us, a hidden lightness that tethers us to the sky, even as we walk upon the earth. The atmosphere was richer then, thick with carbon dioxide and moisture. Some scientists believe the sky may have had a different hue, perhaps a deeper, hazier blue, or a milky turquoise. Imagine looking up at a sky that looks like a watercolor painting. The clouds are heavy and low, and the light is diffracted, softening the harsh sun into a glowing white pearl. The light was softer then. There was no glare, only a gentle, diffused glow, a natural filter placed over a young and dreaming world. These creatures breathed differently than we do. Their lungs were incredibly efficient, allowing air to flow in a continuous, one-way loop. They never truly ran out of breath. With every inhale and every exhale, they absorbed the life force of the planet. Visualize that perfect rhythm, in and out, never pausing. A breath that flows like a circle, unbroken, steady, fueling the slow, rhythmic beating of a giant, resting heart. Eventually, the first long-necked dinosaurs appeared, gentle wanderers like the Plateosaurus. They were the first creatures to truly reach up high. They lifted their heavy heads from the ground to strip the leaves from the higher branches, bridging the gap between the soil and the trees. It was a significant moment in the history of life. It was the first time Earthlings stood on their tiptoes, stretching their necks upward, ignoring the ground below to reach for the warmth of the sun. In the vast interior of the supercontinent, the seasons were not marked by the turning of leaves or the falling of snow. Instead, the rhythm of time was dictated by water. There was the dry season and the wet season. For months, the land would wait. Life became a practice of patience. And then the clouds would gather, great, bruising towers of purple and gray piling up on the horizon. The coming of the rain was a celebration. Imagine standing there as the first heavy drops hit the dusty earth,
the smell of petrichor, that dusty, wet scent of rain on dry soil, rising up to meet you. It was a simple life, governed only by the thirst of the land and the quenching of the sky. Many of these early creatures possessed a metabolism slower than the mammals of today. They did not rush from moment to moment. They understood the art of waiting. They could remain perfectly motionless for hours, letting the morning sun warm their blood, absorbing energy without moving a single muscle. Visualize a lizard on a rock today and multiply that stillness by 1,000. They were living solar panels, masters of doing absolutely nothing. They teach us that stillness is not a waste of time, but a way of recharging, soaking up the warmth of the day until we are ready to move again. Towards the end of this first era, the ground began to change. Pangaea, the one great land, began to tear apart. But do not imagine a catastrophe. Imagine a slow geological sigh. Over millions of years, a rift opened between the Americas and Africa. As the land separated, water rushed in to fill the void. This was the birth of the Atlantic Ocean. First, it was a trickle, then a river, then a narrow sea. It reminds us that even when things in our lives seem to be falling apart, they are often just creating space for something new, a new ocean to hold the reflection of the stars. We now drift forward in time, crossing the threshold into the Jurassic period. This is often called the golden age of the dinosaurs. The climate shifted. The dry, arid heat of the Triassic gave way to a lush, tropical humidity. The deserts retreated, and the world bloomed. Imagine stepping into a greenhouse where the air is thick and warm. The oxygen levels rose. The world became a verdant, breathing engine of life. It was a time of abundance. There was enough for everyone. The struggle to survive softened into a time of plenty, where the forests grew so thick they blocked out the sun, creating a permanent emerald twilight on the forest floor. If you were to walk through these Jurassic forests, you would recognize a very specific scent: the sharp, fresh smell of pine. This was the era of the conifers, the ancestors of our Christmas trees, redwoods, and monkey puzzle trees. They stood like ancient sentinels, their needle-like leaves waxy and tough. Close your eyes and call upon that smell. The sticky resin, the woody, earthy aroma of a forest. That scent is a time machine. When you smell pine today, you are smelling the same air that filled the lungs of the giants. It is a fragrance that has lasted for 200 million years, unchanged, comforting, and clean. Among the pines, there stood another tree that you might recognize today, the ginkgo. It has a distinct fan-shaped leaf, delicate, veined, and turning a brilliant, buttery yellow. If you have ever seen a ginkgo tree on a city street, you have looked into the deep past. It is a biological constant. The dinosaurs watched these same leaves flutter in the wind. They rested in the shade of the exact same canopy. It is a comforting thought that some things do not change. In a world of constant movement, the ginkgo remains a loyal friend to history, waiting quietly through the ages, just to offer us the same shade it offered them. One of the strangest things about this ancient world was what was missing. There was no grass. Grass is a modern invention. Instead, the forest floor was covered in soft, spongy mosses, lichens, and fallen needles. Imagine walking there. Your footsteps would make no sound. The ground was not hard or crunchy, but forgiving and deep. It was nature's thickest carpet, a landscape designed for silence. You could walk for miles and never hear your own feet touch the earth. just a soft, muffled journey through a world that wanted to remain undisturbed. To feed the giants of this era, the trees had to become giants themselves. This was the time of the redwoods and the sequoias, trees so large they defied logic. Imagine standing at the base of one. The bark is thick, rough, and warm to the touch, like the skin of the earth itself. You look up and up and up. The trunk shoots straight into the heavens, disappearing into the mist. These were the pillars holding up the sky. They created a sense of vertical eternity. Standing beneath them, you feel small but held. You are protected by the oldest, strongest guardians the world has ever known. The air in these forests was never truly silent. It carried a low, rhythmic hum. This was the song of the insects, ancient dragonflies, and beetles. But unlike the sharp, frantic buzzing of a modern city, this was a slow, ambient drone, the sound of a lazy afternoon. Think of the sound of crickets on a hot summer night. Now slow it down, deepen it. It is a white noise that wraps around you, a sonic blanket that tells you the world is alive but resting. It is the lullaby of the biosphere, singing the planet to sleep. Because the canopy was so thick, the sunlight could not reach the ground in a solid beam. It had to fight its way through layers of branches and leaves. The result was a phenomenon the Japanese call komorebi, sunlight filtering through trees. The forest floor was a moving mosaic of shadow and light, soft, golden coins of sun dancing on the moss. There was no harsh glare here, only a gentle, diffused glow. It was a world eternally set to dim, a safe, quiet room where the lights have been lowered, inviting you to close your eyes and rest. In this world before flowers, there was no pollen as we know it today. Instead, the ferns reproduced using spores. On warm afternoons, the forests would release these microscopic seeds into the air. Imagine a shaft of sunlight cutting through the canopy, illuminating a cloud of drifting golden dust. It looked like magic, a shimmering haze suspended in the air. It reminds us that the air around us is never truly empty. It is always carrying the invisible promise of new life, floating silently, waiting for a soft place to land and begin again. Low to the ground grew the cycads, stout, woody plants that looked like pineapples crossed with palm trees. They were built to survival. Their trunks were rough and armored. Their leaves were stiff and waxy. They did not sway easily in the breeze. They stood their ground. Run your hand in your mind over that rough, ancient bark. It is the texture of resilience. They teach us the value of a thick skin. Sometimes, to survive the ages, you must be sturdy. You must build a fortress around your heart and grow slowly, inch by inch, ignoring the rush of the world around you. High above the cycads stood the araucaria, the monkey puzzle trees. With their spiky, geometric branches spiraling upwards, they looked like living sculptures. These trees had a secret. They were designed to be difficult to eat. Their sharp leaves were a defense against the hungry mouths of giants. They are still with us today, unchanged. When you see their strange, twisting shapes, you are seeing a strategy that worked. They found a shape that kept them safe. They found their place in the design of the world, and they held onto it, steadfast and sharp, protecting their own peace. We often think of forests as static, but the Jurassic forest was a breathing machine. Through a process called transpiration, these billions of trees released water vapor from their leaves. They exhaled so much moisture that they created their own weather. The mist that clung to the mountains
was born from the trees themselves. Visualize the forest exhaling, a soft white fog rising from the canopy at dawn. It is a reminder that we create our own atmosphere. The energy we put out into the world rises up and settles around us like a soft cloud, defining the climate in which we live. And so, the stage was set. The table was laid. The world was green, lush, and overflowing with life. But a garden this vast was not meant to stay empty. It was waiting for its gardeners. In the distance, the ground begins to tremble. Not a violent shake, but a rhythmic, deep bass thrumming through the soil. Something is coming. Something massive. The leaves rustle in anticipation. The purpose of the grass is to be eaten. The purpose of the forest is to sustain. The green cathedral opens its doors, ready to welcome the gentle giants. Into this green cathedral walked the Sauropods. You know their shape well. It is perhaps the most famous silhouette in the history of life. A small head, a long, elegant neck sweeping upward, a heavy, rounded body, and a long, tapering tail drifting behind. Picture that shape in your mind against a setting sun. It is a design of perfect balance. The neck stretches forward, the tail stretches back. It is not a shape built for war. It is not a shape built for speed. It is a shape built for reach. It is the geometry of grazing, a creature designed to stand in one place and simply accept the abundance the world has to offer. To understand them, we must understand their scale. Consider the Argentinosaurus. This creature was not merely an animal, it was a geography. It weighed as much as a herd of 15 African elephants combined. If it were to lie down in a field, it would look like a hill. Imagine standing next to one. Its knee would be taller than your head. Its body would block out the sun like a passing cloud. There is a strange peace in being that large. When you are a mountain, you do not fear the storm. You do not flinch at the predator. You simply exist, vast, immovable, and safe within your own magnitude. How did such a creature stand without collapsing? Nature became an engineer. The skeleton of a sauropod was built exactly like a suspension bridge. The front legs and back legs were the towers. The spine was the cable, strung between them under immense tension. The neck and the tail acted as counterweights. If the neck moved left, the tail moved right. It was a marvel of biological architecture. It teaches us that balance is not about being rigid. It is about distribution, sharing the weight so that even the heaviest burdens can be carried with grace. Inside that massive chest beat a heart the size of a small car. But because they were so large, their rhythm was incredibly slow. While a hummingbird's heart buzzes like a frenzied wire, the sauropod's heart was a deep, resonant drum. Thump, thump. It might have beaten only a few times per minute. Imagine laying your head against its flank. You would have to wait a long time between beats. It is the rhythm of deep sleep, even when they were awake. A reminder to slow down your own engine, to let the space between your heartbeats grow wider and calmer. When they moved, they did not run. They could not run. They moved at a steady, rolling walk about 3 miles per hour, the pace of a human strolling through a park. But their footsteps were heavy. This is why the name Brontosaurus means thunder lizard. They did not need to see each other to know where the herd was. They could feel it. The vibrations of their family traveled through the soles of their feet, rippling through the ground for miles. They were connected by the earth itself. It is a comforting thought that you don't always need to see those you love to know they are there. You can just feel their presence resonating in the ground beneath you. These giants did not chew their food. Chewing takes energy, and they had no time for it. Instead, they swallowed leaves whole. But they had a secret helper. They also swallowed smooth, round river stones, known as gastroliths. Deep inside their massive stomachs, these stones would tumble against each other, grinding the leaves into a paste. Imagine the sound of a stone tumbler, the soft clack, clack, clack of rocks rolling over one another in the dark. It was an internal mill. They carried the riverbed within them. It teaches us that we do not always need to break things down immediately. Sometimes we can just take things in and let time and patience do the work of processing them. The incredible length of their necks was not just for reaching high, it was for energy conservation. A sauropod could stand in a single spot and graze from a vast area, sweeping its head back and forth like a slow pendulum. It could strip a whole grove of ferns without taking a single step. They were the original minimalists of movement. They understood that energy is precious. Why move the body when you can just move the head? It is a lesson in efficiency. Do not rush around seeking what you need. Stand firm in your center and let your reach extend to bring the world to you. Look closely at their legs. They did not have the bent knees of a lion or a horse ready to spring. Their legs were straight columns, like the pillars of a Greek temple. They were designed for support, not speed. Their feet were cushioned by thick, fibrous pads, like the heels of an elephant, to absorb the shock of their immense weight. Visualize those feet planting into the mud. Squish, sink, hold. They were utterly grounded. To be that heavy is to be unshakable. It is the feeling of gravity hugging you tight, promising that no wind, no storm, and no worry can ever knock you over. These giants were rarely alone. They traveled in herds, moving across the plains like a single, multi-legged organism. The adults formed a ring on the outside, a wall of muscle and bone. And in the center, the babies. The vulnerable ones walked in the middle, shielded by a forest of legs. Imagine being a young dinosaur in that center. You are surrounded by the slow, rhythmic movement of your family. You cannot see the horizon, only the comforting gray flanks of your protectors. It is the ultimate feeling of safety. To be hidden in the center of the herd, protected on all sides, moving blindly but safely, trusting the ones who walk beside you. Because they stripped the land of food so quickly, they had to keep moving. They were eternal nomads. Migration was not a yearly event. It was a lifestyle. They followed the green. They did not have a destination. The journey was the destination. Picture a trail of dust rising in the distance, a line of giants walking slowly toward the sunset. One foot in front of the other, day after day, century after century. There is a hypnosis in the walking. It reminds us that progress does not have to be fast. You just have to keep moving. If you just take one slow step at a time, you can cross a continent. For a long time, we believed dinosaurs were like turtles, laying their eggs and walking away. But then we found a place called Egg Mountain, and a dinosaur named Maiasaura. Her name translates to the good mother lizard. We found her fossils curled around her nest. We found evidence that she brought food to her hatchlings.
she did not abandon them to the cold. She stayed. It softens the image of these beasts. They were not just monsters of teeth and claw. They were parents. They knew the anxiety of watching over something fragile. They knew the exhaustion of care. It connects us to them across the eons, the universal, timeless instinct to protect what is small, to keep the world away from the ones we love. The eggs themselves were not brittle and smooth, like the chicken eggs in your refrigerator. Many dinosaur eggs had a unique texture, rough, bumpy, and thick. Run your finger, in your mind, over the surface of a cantaloupe or a rough stone. That is what they felt like. They were built to be durable. They were built to survive the fall from the mother's body and the weight of the earth. It is a reminder that life is not always smooth and polished. Sometimes, the vessels that hold the most precious things are rough, sturdy, and textured by the world they are born into. When the mothers laid their eggs, they did not pile them haphazardly. They arranged them with intention. In many nests, the eggs were laid in a perfect spiral or a tight ring,
leaving an open space in the center. This was likely so the mother could sit in the middle without crushing them, keeping them warm with her body heat. But look at the geometry of it. A spiral, a circle, the oldest shapes in the universe. Before humans ever drew a circle in the sand, dinosaurs were creating them with their own unborn children. It is a symbol of continuity. Life has no beginning and no end, only a constant spiraling journey around a warm center. Some dinosaurs were too heavy to sit on their eggs, so they became gardeners of warmth. They would build mounds of soil and rotting vegetation, leaves, ferns, and moss, and bury their eggs inside. As the plants decayed, they released a gentle chemical heat. The nest was a compost pile, a living blanket. The mother would check the temperature with her snout, adding or removing leaves to keep it perfect. It teaches us that warmth does not always have to come from fire or the sun. Sometimes, warmth comes from the earth itself, from the quiet, slow breakdown of old things, making space for the new. An egg looks like a stone, sealed and silent, but it is not sealed. If you were to look at a dinosaur eggshell under a microscope, you would see thousands of tiny pores. These microscopic tunnels allowed oxygen to flow in and carbon dioxide to flow out. The eggshell was breathing. Even before they were born, the babies were exchanging breath with the world outside. They were inhaling the air of the Jurassic forest, tasting the atmosphere before they ever saw the light. It reminds us that we are never truly cut off from the world. Even when we are in our shell, even when we are hiding away, we are still connected, still breathing in the universe and letting it breathe into us. How does a giant begin? With a tiny, persistent tap. Baby dinosaurs were equipped with a small, sharp point on their beak called an egg tooth. It was their only tool. Trapped in the dark, they would tap and wait and tap again.
It was not a violent explosion, but a slow, rhythmic chipping away of the barrier. Imagine the sound of rain falling on a tent. That is the sound of 100 eggs slowly waking up. It teaches us that breaking through barriers does not always require brute force. Sometimes, it just requires consistency. A small, repeated effort over and over is enough to open up a whole new world. There is a beautiful paradox in the life of a sauropod. They were the largest land animals to ever exist, yet they hatched from eggs no larger than a soccer ball. A newborn diplodocus was so small you could have held it gently in your hands. It looked nothing like the giant it would become. It was fragile, clumsy, and small. To reach its full size, it would have to multiply its weight by thousands. It reminds us that we cannot judge the potential of a thing by its current size.
Inside the smallest seed, inside the smallest beginning, sleeps a giant waiting to unfold. When we think of dinosaurs, we think of hard scales and armor. But recent discoveries have softened this image. We now know that many young dinosaurs, even the ancestors of the T-Rex, were covered in a layer of downy fuzz. These were proto-feathers. They were not for flying, they were for warmth. Picture a baby dinosaur, not as a green lizard, but as a soft, velvety creature, fuzzy like a duckling. Imagine running your hand over that down. It is warm to the touch. It changes how we see the past. The ancient world was not just sharp teeth and cold blood. It was soft. It was fuzzy. It was capable of tenderness. The babies did not always stay with their parents. As they grew, many species formed creches or nursery herds. Groups of young dinosaurs would band together, separating from the adults to live in a gang of adolescents. They moved through the forest like a school of fish, a chaotic, energetic ball of youth. They played, they practiced, they slept in a pile of tangled limbs and tails. It is a dynamic that has not changed in millions of years. The young find safety in each other. They find their own rhythm, separate from the slow, heavy steps of the adults, dancing their own dance in the shadow of the forest. Because they started so small, these creatures had to grow at a rate that is almost impossible to comprehend. Studies of their bones show that they grew with the speed of a metabolic explosion. They did not grow slowly like reptiles. They surged like a rising tide. Every day, they were visibly bigger than the day before. They were biological machines designed to turn plants into bone. Visualize a time-lapse of a bamboo shoot rocketing out of the ground. That is the energy of youth. It is a force that cannot be stopped. Life wants to expand. It wants to reach its full height. It is the undeniable upward pressure of existence. While the heavy giants walked the earth, a different kind of life ruled the air. The pterosaurs. It is important to whisper this distinction. These were not actually dinosaurs. They were their cousins. While dinosaurs were the masters of the land, pterosaurs were the masters of the wind. Imagine lying on your back in a fern field, looking up. High above, you see a shape across a kite, gliding silently against the clouds. They did not flap frantically like the birds of today. They were gliders. They rode the thermal currents, invisible pillars of warm air rising from the earth. They spent their lives drifting, allowing the planet's own heat to lift them higher and higher. It is a lesson in surrender. You do not always have to struggle against gravity. If you find the right current, you can simply let go and rise. The wing of a pterosaur was a marvel of evolution. It was made of skin, muscle, and other tissues, stretching from their ankle to a dramatically lengthened fourth finger. Imagine extending your arm and your ring finger and having that single finger stretch out for meters, holding a sail of living skin. This wing was not a dead thing. It was highly sensitive. It was packed with nerves and blood vessels. They could feel the air. They could feel the texture of the wind, the subtle shifts in pressure, the moisture in a cloud. To fly was to touch the sky. It reminds us that navigating the world requires sensitivity. We must feel the atmosphere around us, adjusting our course with the slightest twitch of a finger, staying in tune with the invisible winds that guide us. For a long time, we thought pterosaurs were small. Then we found Quetzalcoatlus. This creature defies our understanding of physics. Standing on the ground, it was as tall as a giraffe. Its wingspan was nearly 40 feet, the size of a small airplane. Imagine a creature that large pushing off the ground and becoming airborne. When it flew overhead, it did not just cast a shadow, it created an eclipse. It was a floating island, a living cloud. Yet, despite its size, it was graceful. It toured the skies of the Cretaceous period like a majestic ship, silent and slow. It teaches us that there is no limit to how high we can dream. Even the heaviest things, if built correctly, can find a way to dance among the clouds. To achieve this flight, they had to make a sacrifice. They had to give up their density. The bones of the great pterosaurs were hollow tubes, with walls as thin as a playing card. They were incredibly fragile. If you were to hold a pterosaur bone, it would feel weightless, like a piece of dried balsa wood or a stiff piece of paper. They were built of air as much as they were built of bone. They were the ultimate compromisers. To gain the sky, they had to become vulnerable. It is a profound truth. To fly, to truly rise above the heavy things of the world, you must be willing to let go of your armor. You must shed your weight, even if it makes you fragile, and trust that the air will hold you. While the pterosaurs glided on leather wings, something else was happening in the trees.
A small dinosaur called Archaeopteryx was changing the world. It left behind a fossil that is perhaps the most beautiful in the world, the Berlin specimen. In the stone, you can see it clearly. Feathers. These were not the simple fuzz of the babies. These were complex, asymmetrical flight feathers. Run your mind over the structure of a feather. The central shaft, the tiny barbs interlocking like a zipper, creating a smooth, wind-resistant surface. It is a masterpiece of design. Nature took the hard, cold scale of a reptile and frayed it, softened it, and turned it into something capable of catching the wind. It was the moment the earth learned to be soft, the moment the hard edges of the past gave way to the gentle, rustling beauty of a wing. For decades, we could only guess the color of the dinosaurs. We assumed they were gray or green, but modern science has given us a gift: color. By analyzing microscopic pigment cells in fossils, we now know that a small, flying dinosaur called Microraptor was black. But not a flat, dull black. It was iridescent. Like the feathers of a raven or a starling today, its plumage shimmered with the colors of oil on water. Imagine it perched on a branch in a sunbeam. As it turns its head, the black feathers flash with sudden blues, purples, and glossy greens. It is a reminder that beauty is often hidden in the dark. Even in the shadows of the prehistoric forest, there was a hidden rainbow, waiting for the light to reveal it. This same creature, Microraptor, possessed a feature that nature would eventually abandon, but which was beautiful in its time. It did not just have wings on its arms, it had wings on its legs. It was a four-winged glider. Imagine a creature that is entirely wrapped in flight. When it leaped from a tree, it didn't just flap, it sprawled. It became a flat, feathered surface, a living kite. It suggests a deep desire to stay aloft. Nature was experimenting, trying every possible way to defy gravity, adding more and more feathers until the creature could float like a falling leaf, gently rocking side to side on the air. Some of the great pterosaurs, like the pteranodon, had magnificent crests on the back of their heads. For a long time, we wondered why. Was it for display? Perhaps. But it was also a rudder. The crest balanced the beak. As they flew over the ocean, they could turn their head slightly, and the wind catching the crest would steer their entire body. They steered with their faces.
It is a level of integration with the elements that we can scarcely imagine. To turn left, they simply looked left. To turn right, they looked right. The intention and the action were one. They moved through the world simply by looking where they wanted to go. Unlike birds today, whose babies are helpless and stuck in the nest, pterosaurs appear to have been precocial. This means that even the flaplings, the tiny babies, could likely fly very shortly after hatching. They were born ready. Imagine a creature no bigger than a sparrow launching itself into the vast Jurassic sky alone. It is a brave image. A tiny speck of life in a world of giants, trusting its wings from the very first moment. It reminds us that we are often more capable than we think. Sometimes we don't need years of training. Sometimes the instinct to fly is already there, written into our bones, waiting for us to just jump. Let us finish our time in the sky by adopting their perspective. Imagine you are a pterosaur, drifting at 5,000 feet. The air up here is cool, crisp, and thin. The roar of the dinosaurs below is gone. There is only the sound of the wind rushing over your leather wings. You look down. The herds of sauropods are just grey pebbles moving in a green river. The drama of the hunt is too small to see. From this height, the world is peaceful. It is a tapestry of green forests, blue winding rivers, and the glittering light of the inland sea. It teaches us the value of distance. When the world feels loud and chaotic, we can simply rise above it, gaining a new perspective where everything becomes small, silent, and manageable. If you were to travel to the center of North America today, to the wheat fields of Kansas or the plains of Nebraska, you would be standing on dry, dusty ground. But in the time of the dinosaurs, you would be drowning. A vast body of water, known as the Western Interior Seaway, split the continent in two. It was a warm, shallow, tropical ocean that stretched from the Arctic all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. The bottom of this sea was not sand, but a thick, soft chalk. It is a strange feeling to realize that the heartland of a continent was once a seabed. The wheat fields of today are growing out of the ancient skeletons of microscopic sea creatures. It reminds us that the earth is fluid. What is land today was water yesterday, and might be water again. We are just living on the temporary islands of a much longer story. In these waters lived the plesiosaurs. You might know them as the inspiration for the Loch Ness Monster, a heavy body with 4 long flippers and the winding neck. But watch how they move. They did not swim like fish, waving their tails side to side. They swam like sea turtles. They flapped. They moved their 4 giant flippers up and down in a rhythmic, graceful cycle. It was underwater flight. Imagine a creature the size of a bus soaring through the water as if it were the sky. Slow, powerful strokes. They pushed against the water, and the water pushed back, propelling them into the blue gloom. It is a vision of perfect buoyancy. To be held by the water, to be weightless, to fly without ever leaving the ground. Drifting in the currents alongside the giants were millions of shelled creatures called ammonites. They looked like nautiluses, their shells coiling into a perfect mathematical spiral. This shape is known as the golden ratio. It is a pattern found in galaxies, in hurricanes, and in sunflowers. The ammonites built their homes according to the sacred geometry of the universe. Some were small as a coin. Others were as large as a tractor tire, floating silently in the deep. Visualize that spiral, round and round, getting smaller and smaller toward the center. It is a meditation in itself. It draws the eye inward, toward a point of infinite calm. A reminder that even in the chaos of the prehistoric ocean, nature was creating perfect order. The oceans also held the archelon, the largest sea turtle to ever exist. It was the size of a car, with a shell that was not hard bone, but thick, leathery skin stretched over a skeletal frame. It did not have to come to land often. It spent its life drifting in the open ocean. Imagine it sleeping at the surface, its vast, dark shell baking in the Cretaceous sun, bobbing gently with the swell of the waves. It is the ultimate symbol of trust. To close your eyes and sleep while suspended over miles of dark water, trusting the ocean to hold you up. It teaches us that we don't always need to swim. Sometimes we can just float. We can surrender our weight to the tide and let the current take us where we need to go. Deep down, where the sunlight begins to fade into the twilight zone, lived the Ophthalmosaurus. This creature looked like a dolphin, but it was a reptile, and it possessed a remarkable feature: eyes the size of dinner plates. They had the largest eyes relative to body size of any animal in history. Why? To catch the light. In the deep, dark water, these giant eyes could gather the faintest traces of moonlight filtering down from the surface. They did not generate their own light. They simply opened themselves wide enough to receive what little light there was. It is a beautiful lesson for the dark times. When things seem dim, when we cannot see the way forward, we do not need to create fire. We simply need to widen our perspective, to open our eyes a little wider and catch the faint, guiding glimmer that is always there. While the seas had their hunters, they also had their gentle grazers. Meet the Leadsichthys. It was a fish, but a fish the size of a whale. It grew to 50 feet long, yet it had no terrible teeth. It was a filter feeder. It moved through the oceans with its mouth wide open, taking in thousands of gallons of water and sifting out the tiny plankton. Imagine a creature that large, subsisting on things that are microscopic. It did not hunt. It merely accepted. It swam slowly through clouds of food, gathering what it needed simply by breathing and moving forward. It is a lesson in effortless abundance. You do not always have to fight for sustenance. Sometimes, you just have to open yourself up and move through the world, trusting that you will be filled. In the deep ocean, there is a weather phenomenon that has nothing to do with rain. It is called marine snow. It is the continuous, gentle shower of organic particles, dust, sand, and life, drifting down from the surface to the sea floor. It falls endlessly, day and night, for millions of years. Picture yourself sitting at the bottom of that ancient sea. The water is still. Above you, white flakes are drifting down in slow motion, catching the faint blue light. It is a silent snowfall that never accumulates, never melts, just feeds the deep. It covers the ocean floor in a soft, nutrient-rich blanket. It is the quietest process on Earth, the slow recycling of life into the deep dark. The floor of the Cretaceous Ocean was not a barren desert. It was a garden. It was covered in crinoids, also known as sea lilies. These look like flowers, feathery, beautiful shapes on long stalks. But they are actually animals, related to starfish. They waved gently in the deep currents, tethered to the bottom. Imagine a field of white and yellow lilies underwater, swaying in unison to a breeze you cannot feel. They were patient. They waited for the food to come to them. It creates an image of serenity, A garden that blooms in the dark, where the flowers are alive and the wind is water. Because the climate was so warm, the temperature of this ancient ocean was much higher than our oceans today. Even in the deep waters, it was not freezing cold. It was tepid. The entire planet was wrapped in a warm bath. Imagine floating in water that is perfectly matched to your body temperature. You cannot tell where your skin ends and the water begins. You are suspended in warmth. This heat allowed life to flourish at every depth. It was a hospitable world, a womb-like ocean that cradled its inhabitants in a permanent tropical embrace. How does a creature sleep when it cannot stop swimming? We look to the ichthyosaurs, the reptile dolphins of their time. They likely slept with half their brain at a time, or by drifting in safe currents. Imagine a pod of them, suspended in the blue twilight. Their eyes are closed. They are not moving their tails. They are just drifting, hovering in the water column like sleeping astronauts. They are weightless. They do not need a bed. The water supports every ounce of their being. It is the ultimate relaxation. To be held up on all sides, floating in the quiet, drifting slowly with the turn of the tide. For a long time, we assumed dinosaurs were strictly creatures of the day, shutting down as soon as the sun set. But we now know the Mesozoic night was alive. When the sun dipped below the horizon, a shift change occurred. The heavy giants settled down to sleep, and the smaller, sharper creatures woke up. Imagine the transition. The gold of the sunset fading into a deep, bruised purple. The shadows stretching out until they cover the world. It was not a time of fear, but a time of cool relief. The air became crisp. The frantic energy of the day dissolved into the quiet, secret movements of the night watch. It reminds us that the world has two faces. There is the loud, bright face of the day, and the soft, secret face of the night, where life moves with a different, quieter rhythm. To navigate this dark world, dinosaurs like the Troodon evolved special tools: enormous eyes. Relative to its size, it had some of the largest eyes of any land animal. They were forward-facing, like ours, but built to gather every stray photon of light. Imagine standing in the dark forest. You cannot see anything, but the Troodon can see everything. To them, the forest is not black. It is a landscape of silver and gray, illuminated by the stars. They teach us that darkness is often just a matter of perception. If we have the right eyes, if we open our senses wide enough, even the darkest night is full of light. In the time of the dinosaurs, the moon was slightly closer to the Earth than it is today. This means the moonlight was brighter, casting a stronger, pearly glow over the landscape. Imagine a sauropod sleeping in a clearing, its massive flank illuminated by this ancient moonlight. The world at night loses its color. The vibrant greens of the ferns and the browns of the earth fade into a monochrome dream. Everything becomes simple. Contrast, shadow, light. It is a visual silence. The noise of color is turned down, leaving a peaceful, silver world where shapes are soft and edges are blurred. One of the most heartwarming discoveries in paleontology is a small dinosaur named Mei Long. Its name translates beautifully to the soundly sleeping dragon. We found its fossil not fighting or running, but sleeping. It died in its sleep, buried instantly by volcanic ash, preserving its posture perfectly for millions of years. It was curled up in a tight ball. Its tail was wrapped around its body for warmth. Its tiny head was tucked under its arm, just like a sleeping bird today. It looks incredibly vulnerable and incredibly peaceful. It is a connection that spans eons. To see a dinosaur tucking its nose under its wing to keep it warm, it reminds us that the need for comfort, for warmth, and for a safe place to rest is the most universal instinct of all. For the dinosaurs living in the arid deserts or the humid swamps, the day was a challenge of heat. The sun was a weight they had to carry. Therefore, the night was a gift. The temperature dropped. The rocks, which had been baking all day, began to radiate their heat back into the sky. Imagine the feeling of cool air moving over hot skin, the feeling of a fever breaking. The night was a healing time. The plants opened their pores, the animals slowed their hearts. It teaches us to appreciate the cooling down. After the intensity of the day, after the work and the heat, there always comes the gentle, cooling forgiveness of the dark. If you were to look at the head of a dinosaur, you would notice something missing. They had no outer ears, no flaps of skin to catch the sound. Instead, they had simple, elegant holes, often hidden beneath feathers or scales. But do not think they were deaf. They were listening to a different frequency. They were tuned to the low notes, the infrasound. Like elephants today, they could hear the deep, rumbling vibrations of the earth itself. Imagine standing in the dark forest. You hear nothing. But the dinosaur hears the footsteps of a herd miles away, sensing the rhythm of the world through the soles of its feet and at the hidden chambers of its skull. It teaches us to listen more deeply. Sometimes the most important messages are not the loud ones spoken in the air, but the quiet ones vibrating in the ground. In the pitch black, eyes are not enough. You need a map that is invisible. Studies of the Tyrannosaurus rex brain cavity revealed that a huge portion of its brain was dedicated to smell. It possessed one of the most powerful noses in history. But tonight, let us not think of it as a hunter's tool. Think of it as a way of seeing. In the dark, the wind brought stories. The scent of rain coming from the north, the sweet rot of a fallen log, the musk of the river. The air was a tapestry of information. It reminds us that even when we cannot see the path ahead, we can sense it. We can trust our intuition, sniffing out the way forward, one breath at a time. As the dinosaurs slept or wandered through the Cretaceous night, they witnessed a new kind of magic. This was the era when the first fireflies appeared. Imagine a giant, armored ankylosaurus pausing in a clearing. Floating around its heavy, spiked tail are tiny drifting sparks of yellow-green light, the first biological stars. It is a scene of immense contrast, the heavy, lumbering beast and the weightless, glowing insect. It is a reminder that even in the deepest, oldest nights, there has always been light. Nature always finds a way to illuminate the dark, even if it is just a tiny, flickering spark that says, "I am here." Not all dinosaurs lived in the tropics. Some lived at the very bottom of the world, in what is now Antarctica and Australia. Back then, it wasn't covered in ice, but it was still subject to the tilt of the Earth. This means these dinosaurs, like the small Laealinosaura, experienced the polar night. For weeks or months at a time, the sun did not rise. They lived in a permanent twilight. They did not migrate. They stayed. They huddled together for warmth. They slowed down. They were the masters of endurance. They teach us that we can survive the long winters. When the light goes away for a while, we do not need to run. We just need to huddle close, keep our internal fire burning, and wait for the dawn that is guaranteed to return. Did dinosaurs dream? We look to their closest living relatives, birds. We know that birds experience REM sleep, rapid eye movement. This is the state where dreams happen. If birds dream and mammals dream,
it is almost certain that dinosaurs dreamed too. Picture a triceratops twitching in its sleep. What did it see? Green fields that never ended? A cool river on a hot day? The comforting nudges of its mother? It connects us to them in the most intimate way. Across millions of years, we share the same sanctuary. When we close our eyes and drift away, we are going to the same place they went. The dream time is the one place where time does not exist. How does a living thing become immortal? It is not easy. Of all the billions of dinosaurs that lived, only a tiny fraction became fossils. To become a fossil is to win a rare and quiet lottery. You must not be eaten. You must not be scattered by the wind. You must find a quiet place to rest, a riverbed, a muddy bank, or a sand dune, and be covered quickly by the earth. It requires a sudden protective blanket of sediment. It is a comforting thought. The fossils we see in museums are the ones that were tucked in, the ones the earth decided to wrap in a safe, heavy embrace to keep them safe from the erasing winds of time. We often think of fossils as old bones, but they are not bones, they are stones. Over millions of years, a process called permineralization occurs. Groundwater, rich in minerals like silica and calcite, seeps into the tiny pores of the bone. Drop by drop, atom by atom, the organic material washes away and the minerals take their place. It is a slow, molecular magic trick. The shape remains, but the substance changes. The bone becomes rock. The life becomes the land. It teaches us that we are not separate from the earth. We are made of the same star stuff, the same minerals, and eventually, we all return to the same stone library. Sometimes the preservation is even more delicate. In the ancient forests, the coniferous trees wept sticky golden resin. Sometimes a small feather, an insect, or a tiny lizard would get caught in this flow. The resin would harden into amber. Look into a piece of amber. It is a window into the past, glowing with an inner light. Inside, you might see a mosquito that bit a dinosaur, or a single perfect feather floating in golden suspension. It is a moment of time, stopped instantly. A single second of the Jurassic period, caught and held in a beam of solid light, waiting for you to find it. Bones are the remains of the dead, but footprints are the remains of the living. We call them trace fossils. Imagine a dinosaur walking across a mudflat on a rainy Tuesday 100 million years ago. The sun came out. The mud baked hard. Then, a layer of sand covered it. That single step was locked away. When we uncover these trackways today, we are not looking at a static object. We are looking at an action. We can see where they slipped, where they ran, where they stood still to look at something. It is a ghostly echo of movement. It reminds us that our actions leave a mark. Every step we take, no matter how small, leaves an impression on the world that can last far longer than we imagine. The Earth is a history book, and the rock layers are the pages. Geologists call this stratigraphy. The deeper you go, the older the story. The dinosaurs are written in the chapters of the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous. They are buried deep under miles of rock and pressure. Think of the weight of that time. The Earth has built mountains over them, worn mountains down, and built them up again. And through it all, they waited. They waited in the dark, safe and sound, encased in stone. It is a lesson in patience. The truth does not disappear. It just waits.
It waits for the wind and the rain to turn the pages, until finally, the story is ready to be read again. For many years, we thought of dinosaurs as failures. We thought they were slow, stupid, swamp-dwelling mistakes that were destined to die. But in the last few decades, a quiet revolution has occurred. We call it the Dinosaur Renaissance. We wiped the dust off the lens. We looked closer, and we saw that they were not failures. They were masterpieces. They were fast, social, caring, and colorful. They conquered every continent. It is a lesson in judgment. Just because something is gone does not mean it failed.
They lived for 160 million years. Humans have been here for a tiny fraction of that. They were the greatest success story the Earth has ever written. A story that ended, yes, but a story that was beautiful while it was being told. Here is the most comforting secret of all. The dinosaurs did not actually go extinct. Not all of them. One small lineage survived the fire and the cold. They were the small, feathered ones. They hid, they scavenged, they endured. And when the smoke cleared, they flew out into the brave new world. We call them birds. Every time you see a robin on your lawn, every time you see a hawk circling the highway, you are looking at a living, breathing dinosaur. They are not monsters anymore. They are our neighbors. They shrank down, grew feathers, and learned to sing. They traded their size for the sky. Next time you sit down for a holiday dinner, look at the wishbone on your plate. Scientists call this the furcula. For a long time, we thought only birds had it. But then, we found it in the chest of the velociraptor. We found it in the Tyrannosaurus. That little V-shaped bone is a bridge across time. It connects the mighty hunter of the Jurassic Plains to the humble turkey on your table. It is a physical link, a piece of architecture that has survived for millions of generations. Hold that thought in your mind. The wishbone is not just for luck. It is a symbol of resilience, a bone that refused to be left behind by history. If you wake up early enough, you hear the dawn chorus, the chirping, whistling, and trilling of the birds welcoming the sun. It is one of the most peaceful sounds on Earth. But now, listen with new ears. Because birds are dinosaurs, their song is dinosaur music. The roaring has stopped, the thundering footsteps are gone, but the singing remains. When you hear a sparrow calling to its mate, you are hearing a language that was spoken in the Cretaceous period. It is an ancient song, a melody that has been passed down from beak to beak, unbroken, through the fall of empires and the rise of man. You do not need to go to a museum to find the past. You just need to go to the park. Watch a pigeon walking on the sidewalk. Look at its feet. See the scales. See the sharp, calculated movements of the head. Watch how it looks at you with that bead-like, unblinking eye. That is the gaze of a raptor. It is a small, harmless version, but the spirit is the same. There is a magic in realizing that the ordinary things around us are actually extraordinary. The pigeon is a pocket-sized giant. It is a little piece of deep time, hopping around the park bench, pecking at crumbs, carrying the legacy of the kings of the earth in its tiny, beating heart. Watch a chicken walking across the grass. Notice the way it moves. It places one foot directly in front of the other. It bobs its head with a sharp, rhythmic precision. This is not a clumsy walk. It is a legacy. Biomechanists have studied this gait. It is almost identical to the walk of the Tyrannosaurus rex. The tyrant king did not lumber, he strode. So when you see a farm bird strutting in the morning light, do not laugh. You are watching the ghost of a T-Rex. You are seeing the same biomechanical engineering that once shook the earth, now reduced to a small, harmless rhythm, a gentle echo of a walk that used to rule the world. Where did their energy go? The plants the dinosaurs ate and the dinosaurs themselves were buried. Over millions of years, the heat and pressure turned them into what we call fossil fuels. But let us use a more poetic name: ancient sunlight. Coal and oil are simply the energy of the prehistoric sun, captured by leaves, eaten by giants, and stored in the earth. When you turn on a lamp tonight, or feel the warmth of a heater, you are releasing the ghosts of the Jurassic sun. You are being warmed by the same light that warmed the back of a Stegosaurus.
The light does not disappear.
It just changes form.
It waits in the dark for millions of years until it is time to shine again. The fossil record is biased. It preserves the hard things, the bone, the tooth, the shell. But it rarely keeps the soft things. We have lost their songs. We have lost the colors of their eyes. We have lost the way they danced to attract a mate. We have lost the sound of a mother humming to her eggs. There is a beauty in this loss. It reminds us that the most precious parts of life are often the most transient. The soft moments, the gentle touches, the sounds of love. They are not meant to last forever in stone. They are meant to be felt in the moment, and then let go. The mystery of what is missing makes the history even more beautiful. If you could travel back in time, the map of the Earth would look strange. The continents would be in different places. The flowers would be missing. But if you looked up at night, you would see a friend, the moon. It was there. It watched the first dinosaur hatch. It watched the last one fall. It watched the continents break apart. It is the silent witness. Tonight, when you look out your window and see that pale, glowing orb, remember that you are sharing a view with the Diplodocus. We are all just different eyes looking up at the same nightlight. Think of a museum at night. The crowds are gone. The lights are dimmed. The noise of the city fades away. In the center of the great hall stands the skeleton of a Brachiosaurus. It stands in a profound, dignified silence. It is no longer an animal of blood and hunger. It has become a statue of time. There is a peace in these bones. They have finished their struggle. They have finished their race. They are resting now, held up by steel supports floating in the quiet air of the present day. They teach us that after all the noise of living, there comes a long, deep stillness. A place where we can simply stand and be remembered. We must acknowledge the end.
But let us view it not as a tragedy, but as a cosmic pivot. 66 million years ago, a stone from the deep dark of space crossed the path of the Earth. It fell in what is now Mexico. It was a moment of silence that rang around the world. It reminds us of the fragility of dominance. The dinosaurs did nothing wrong. They did not fail. They simply lived on a planet that swims in a shooting gallery of stars. It teaches us to hold our time gently.
History can turn on a dime. A single moment can change the direction of the river forever. And though the chapter ended, the book of life did not close. It just turned the page. After the impact, the sky was dark with ash. The sun was hidden. The great forests withered. But in the fossil record, there is a layer right above the extinction line that tells a hopeful story. It is full of fern spores. Ferns are the healers of the earth. They love the shadows. They thrive in the damp and the dark. When the world was gray, the ferns were the first to unfurl their bright green banners. Imagine that first splash of color in a gray world. It is a promise. No matter how burnt the ground, no matter how dark the sky, the green always comes back. The earth knows how to heal itself, one small leaf at a time. While the giants faded from the surface, a different story was happening underground. Our ancestors were there, small, furry creatures no bigger than shrews. They did not try to fight the fire. They went down. They curled up in their burrows deep within the soil, insulated from the heat and the cold. They slept through the apocalypse. While the reign of the dinosaurs ended, the reign of the gentle sleepers began. It teaches us the power of lying low. You do not always have to be the strongest or the loudest to survive. Sometimes, the wisest thing you can do is go to your room, curl up in a ball, and wait for the storm to pass. In 1842, a man named Sir Richard Owen gave these creatures their name. He combined the Greek words Deinos and Sauros. We often translate this as terrible lizard. But Deinos does not just mean terrible. It means fearfully great. It means awesome in the true sense of the word, something that commands awe. They were the awesome lizards. It changes how we see them. They were not monsters to be feared. They were miracles to be respected. They were the fearfully great kings and queens of deep time, deserving of a title that acknowledges their magnificence. We think we are so different from them, but we carry them inside us. At the very base of your human brain, there is a structure called the brainstem. Scientists often call this the reptilian complex. It is the oldest part of you. It does not worry about taxes or the future. It only cares about the basics. It keeps your heart beating. It tells your lungs to breathe. It regulates your body temperature. It is the dinosaur inside you. Right now, as you lie here, you can trust that ancient part of yourself. You can let your busy, modern mind drift off to sleep because the old, steady reptile at the base of your skull is on duty. It has been doing this for millions of years. It knows how to keep you safe. When we look at a skeleton in a museum, we see the hard architecture, the ribs, the skull, the spine. But we must remember what is missing. We do not see the soft parts. We do not see the belly rising and falling with breath. We do not see the blink of an eyelid. We do not see the nuzzle of a snout against a shoulder. The fossil record is a map of the hard things, but life is made of soft things. It reminds us that the most important parts of our lives, the feelings, the touches, the warmth, are invisible to history. They are ours alone. They exist only in the moment they are felt, and then they drift away like smoke. Paleontologists estimate that we have discovered less than 1% of all the dinosaur species that ever lived. For every triceratops we find, there are thousands of species that lived and died without leaving a trace. They are the ghosts of ghosts. There were colorful ones, quiet ones, tiny ones, and strange ones that we will never know. The earth is a library where most of the books have been lost. But there is no sadness in this. It preserves the mystery. The world was fuller, richer, and more complex than we can ever comprehend. It allows us to dream of the things we will never find. We often wonder why they had to disappear, but in the deep logic of deep time, their absence was a gift to us. If the dinosaurs had not fallen, the mammals, our ancestors, would have remained small, hiding in the burrows, living in the dark. The dinosaurs held the stage for an hour, and then they bowed out, so that we could have our second. It was a relay race that lasted eons. They carried the torch of life through the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous. And then, with a silent grace, they handed it to us. We are walking in the space they cleared. We are living in the timeline they allowed to happen. When you feel overwhelmed by the noise of the modern world, by the emails, the deadlines, and the rush, think of the Argentinosaurus. Think of a creature that was 80 tons of slow, peaceful muscle. Think of how small your problems would look if you placed them next to a creature that was as long as 3 school buses. The dinosaurs offer us the gift of scale. They tell us that our worries are temporary. They tell us that the only things that truly last are the earth, the sky, and the journey of life itself. Stand in their shadow and feel your burdens shrink down to their proper size. And so, we come to the end of our list, but not the end of the story. The dinosaurs are not gone. They are the bedrock. They are the oil in the ground. They are the birds in the tree. They are the calcium in the rock. They are the fascination in the mind of a child. They are the deep, sleeping roots of the world we live in. They have done their work. They have grazed the fields. They have laid their eggs, and now they are resting. They are part of the planet's deep, eternal sleep. And now, it is your turn to join them in that rest, to sink down into the support of the bed, to let your bones feel heavy, and to drift into the deep, quiet history of the night. And so our journey through the deep past comes to a close. We have walked through the fern prairies, swum in the warm, ancient oceans, and rested in the shadow of giants. If you are still with me, thank you for wandering through this lost world. And if you have already drifted off, if you are already floating in the dream time, that is wonderful too. That is exactly where you are meant to be. The dinosaurs are sleeping in the stone. The birds are sleeping in the trees, and the earth is slowly turning in the dark, carrying us all safely through the night. Let the weight of millions of years hold you. Let the silence of the ages cover you like a blanket. Sleep well. Good night.